Hello, and welcome to Access Module 4, Creating Forms and Reports. Let's first take a look at what a form is. A form is an object you use to enter, edit, and view records in a database. As you can see, it's very easy to be able to see this information about this particular movie. Now I need you to go to Canvas and to SAM and go to Access Module 4 Textbook Project. Open up your reading assignment, your online textbook. Also download your start file, which is the continuing of Riverview and your name. And then we've got one support file, which is animals.png. So make sure that you've clicked on each one of those and they are ready to download, okay, and you're ready to run them. So I'm going to click on Riverview and open it in Access, then enable content. And this is what our current navigational area looks like. Remember, we just finished up queries, so we have quite a few queries that we worked on. Well, today we're going to be working on forms on this particular project in 4.1. In 4.2, we'll work on reports. We only have one form from our original Access Module 1. Now, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you have the correct object selected to be able to create the form that you want to work with. Okay, for example, on this particular form, I want to base it off of the owner table. So I'm going to select the owner table and then go to Create and then Form Wizard. Now, if you'll notice here, Tables Queries, it tells us that this is based on the owner table. This is all our fields that we're going to be working with. So we want all of them to go over to Selected Fields. If we wanted single items, we would highlight it and then click on Single. And then under that, there is the double, which enables you to select all of your fields. So we're going to choose that for right now. However, the phone field is in not the right location. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the phone field, move it back to available fields right here, and then we're going to highlight email because we want it to follow email. So whatever's selected, that's what your item that you're going to move over is going to follow. So we've got email selected, phone is selected, and then we're going to click on the right arrow and phone comes up right after email. Once you've got that done, you're going to click on Next. And this is your different types of layouts that you can choose. Now let's take a look at those over in PowerPoint. The first kind is columnar, right here, over here to the left. This will show you your different fields, field names, and then it will show your fields over to the right. The tabular looks very similar to Datasheet, which they're all in a row, kind of like Excel. However, they are put into boxes, okay, even though they're grouped all together. Okay, so you can see them a little bit more individually. Then Datasheet is the initial way that we've seen the data and tables in Access. And then we have Justified, which has all the information, but it's kind of packed together one right after the other to fill up the space that is allowed for it. The one that we're going to choose is columnar. And then we're going to click on Next. For the title, we are going to use owner data. So if yours doesn't say data on it, so I'm going to put in data. And then we're going to click on, we're going to open the form to view or enter information. So we're going to click Finish. And it brings us up to our very first entry. Now, if you notice in your navigation area at the bottom of the page, that will show you all of your records. So right now we're sitting on the very first one out of 25. And we'll talk about how to maneuver or move around in that a little bit later. Next, we're going to change the font labels and add graphics to the form. Now, if you'll notice what view we're in, if you'll click on the upper left, okay, we're currently using form view. Form view is how you can, it's like the completed view of the form. You can enter data into the fields or edit them or delete them, okay? However, you can't change the layout or the design of how that data looks or information looks. So we need to go to layout view to be able to change fonts and add a few things. So we're going to, first we're going to look at themes. We'll go to the design tab and then we're going to choose themes. The default is Microsoft Office and that's what we're currently using. But let's take a look at some of the others that are there. If you highlight over them or you highlight them, they'll show you a screen tip. And they'll tell you what each one of them's name is. So this particular one's Gallery, this one's Integral, but we want to go down to the last one, which is WISP, W-I-S-P, and we're going to click Write. Now we have 3 different ways that we can choose this. We can apply the theme to all matching objects. That means to all tables, all forms, all reports, all queries, okay, which we don't want to do that right now, okay, or to this object only, which means only to this form, or make this theme for the database default, which means that it automatically comes up and anything new we create it applies to. Well, for right now, the person that we're doing this for, they're not wanting it to be applied to the whole database. So what we're going to do is only this object. Now, if you get a chance, you can check out your textbook where it says Working with Themes, and I'll give you a little bit more insight to some information about working with themes. Okay, but right now we're going to go on to adding a picture to a form. So we want to make sure that the form is still displayed, which it is, owner data. And we're going to select the Design tab if it's not already selected. And we want to locate in the header footer group logo, L-O-G-O. And we want to find the file that we downloaded called Animals. Okay, I put mine in Downloads and there's my file, Animals. So I double click on it and it brings in this little dog. If you look close enough, I think there's 2 dogs actually. All right. What we're looking at here, this orange rectangle, and if you'll notice there's a dotted or dashed line, okay, that's blue. This is called the control layout. It's a set of controls grouped together in a form or report so you can manipulate the set as a single control, okay, so that you can just work with that individually. All right, well, we're going to click right on it, and then we're going to go to Layout, because we need to make this a little bit more simple. And then we're going to remove the layout. So all we have is the picture inside an orange rectangle. Then what we're going to do is we're going to click on that and we're going to move it over to the right. Now some of you are probably going, why isn't the picture moving? My mouse is moving, but my picture's not moving. That's okay. It's actually moving with it, and once we let go of the mouse, okay, it will show up. Just like that. It needs to be 1/2 inch to the right. Of owner data. And then you can click off of that to unselect the animals. Next, we're going to change the color of text on the form. So we're going to click the owner data. Right now, it's like a dark charcoal color. All right, and we're going to change that to more of a little bit darker color. All right, so first of all, we need to edit owner data so it actually looks more like 2 words instead of 1. So we're going to put a space in between owner data, and if you notice that it's put it on 2 lines, and we don't need it on 2 lines. So if you click on owner data again, if you don't have it selected, get that orange rectangle, and you're going to click on the rectangle on the right side of the rectangle, get the 2-way arrow, and then move that over just about 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, okay? And that moves that over to where it can be on 1 line. Now we're going to change the font color. Just click on the data anywhere, and we need to be in Form Layout Tools format. We're going to click on the down arrow key of the font color, which is the red underline with the A. And this is showing you the theme color that we chose, Wisp. Okay, all of the different colors that's within that theme. The one that we're looking for is in the second column, okay? And it's black text 1, lighter 25%. So once you find that, it's the third one down in the second group, right? And that changes it to that color. Now we're going to save, and we're going to click on Form View. So click on Home and Form View. So now we're back to where we can edit it without disturbing how it looks or changing how it looks. Okay, so this is Form View. If you notice all of our different changes, and we save that, it's very important that you design well your forms. A form must be written clearly and effectively. You're going, well, why does it need to be that way? Because whoever's using this, whether they're entering the data, they're reading the data, or they're coming back and they're editing and removing data, all right, they have to understand what the data means and an easy way to be able to work with it. So design encompasses how will others view, enter, and maintain data. You want to make it easy to use and understandable. If you're using a paper form to enter your data, you want to create the same fields in the same locations. Okay, so if you have 10 fields that person has to enter all that data for, say, 2,000 surveys that somebody has done or 2,000 forms that people have filled out, okay, and the fields are opposite of what are on that paper, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to be able to enter it that way. It's going to be very troublesome and cumbersome for that particular person that's doing that, and they're not going to like you very much. So when you are creating a form, you want it to look like or be similar to the paper form that makes it easy for you to enter that data in, okay? Make it easy, make it understandable. Also have a meaningful title so people know what it's about, and then make it visually appealing to where it can be used well. You need to be able to maneuver a form or be able to work with a form, and we're going to try a couple of these that's in your textbook. Okay, make sure that you're in the owner ID field box, so click in that. All right, and we're going to press the tab key twice. Okay, so that's how you can move between fields. So tab, tab, shift tab goes back. Okay. All right, then you can use your end key. Okay, these are very similar to all of the movement keys that we've used in Word and Excel. Okay, so end goes to the very last field that you have in a record. Okay, home takes you to the first field that you have in a record. Then you've got control end. Control end takes you to the last record that you have in your table, okay, or in your forms. If you notice down here at the bottom, we're at 25 of 25. If we press Control Home, we're at the very first one, okay? All right, now these navigational tools down here work very similar to what we're doing up there. First record is the first line, vertical line with a triangle, okay? And since we're setting on 1 of 25, we can't choose anything further than previous record because we're at the very top. Okay, the very next record is just the right triangle. Okay, the right triangle with the line is the last record. And then the triangle with a little star or sunshine, okay, that's how you create a new record, okay, if you click on that. So those are some ways that you can move around. So if I happen to be on record 25 right now and I press my up arrow, if you're not in edit mode, you're actually in navigational mode, okay, which means the whole text in a field is highlighted. You can use your up arrow keys to move between the fields, okay? But if you happen to be in edit mode, okay, to where you just have your insertion point and nothing's highlighted, you cannot go up or down, okay, just FYI. Next, we're going to find data using a form. Now, all of us know that Control F will bring up find and replace, okay? But if you're not sure, if you're not used to using that, you can always go to the Home tab and then click on Find, and that will take you to the same location. We want to move our find and replace kind of out of the way so we can actually see our data when we're working with this, okay? So we're going to find some records using this owner data form. And we want to make sure we're in the address line, okay, that it's highlighted. And what we're going to do in our find and replace, we're going to type in Bobcat. Now, if you notice that we have 3 different areas here. First of all, we have current field. Right here's current field. That means that we're looking in a specific field, okay? If we don't choose field, current field, then we have an option of doing current document. So we can either look through a field or the whole document, okay? The next thing is match, right? We have 3 choices here. We have any part of a field, a whole field, or a start of a field. So I want to give you some examples here. If I typed in the letter A in the Find What box and selected any part of the field, I would find all values or words that contain the letter A, whether in a value, word, or by itself. Okay, so like here, all right, it would find the letter A in Thomas, it would find the letter A in Bobcat, it would find the letter A in Ralston, etc., etc. Okay, whole fields, okay, it finds only words or values with the letter A itself, or a word. Okay, A by itself is a word. So it would probably not find anything in this. Throughout this entire form, I don't have just a single A, okay, as a whole word. Then last, we've got start of a field. So it finds values or words that start with the letter A. So anything that starts with the letter A, it would stop on or it would find. So it's not just a single letter. It can find any words or any values that you're looking for, okay, including numbers. Back to Access, we're going to choose current field, and we're going to choose any part of a field, okay? So it'll find any part of for Bobcat, okay? So when I click on Find Next, it found it in record 13, and it was on 622 Bobcat Trail. If I click on it again, it's saying, hey, that's all I've got. I don't have anything else. All right, so it only found one item that had Bobcat in it. So it's very, very helpful when you're trying to find things. But occasionally in databases, we have to find other things. And most of you have kind of run into this when you're doing searches on the internet or trying to find files on your computer. All of this works very similar, okay? So you can use some of these tips or suggestions when we talk about wildcard characters to perform those different tasks. So wildcard characters with Microsoft Access Find and Replace, we have several. We have the asterisk, we have the question mark, we have double brackets, exclamation point, a dash, and the pound sign. So let's go through each one of these. First of all, wildcard character with asterisk. Very helpful. I've used it so many times when I'm looking for files, when I'm looking for information on the internet, but you can use that within Access, okay? And they give you an example here, but I'm going to give you a different one in the database we're working on, okay? So I'm going to highlight Find What, and I'm going to look for Jack. And I'm going to put in, I want to find all words, whether it says Jack, Jackson, whatever it happens to be. Okay. Now I'm not going to match case because I want it to look for upper and lower case. Okay. I'm not going to do it in the current field. I want to do it for the whole document. And I'm not looking for it in just a word. I want it on any part of the field. Okay. So, and you can find out a lot of times you're like, well, do I use that or do I use another? Try it as any part of the field. And if it's not narrowing it down enough for you, then try whole word. So we're going to try find next. So it found Aaron Jackson, Jack Sprawling. Okay, even though there wasn't anything after Jack, it still find it. Jackson Elmer. Then Elmer Jackson lives on Jackson Farm Road. Melanie Jackson. And that's all we found, but we found quite a bit. That's an interesting part of it. But the next thing is, let's try one a little bit different. This time we're going to put in, you can put an asterisk at the beginning of a word or an end of a word, as long as you've got, it's looking for something that starts with or ends with. So you can actually do this, D asterisk or D asterisk N. So I'm looking for words that start with the letter D but end with the letter N. So I'm going to do it for current document in any part of the field. Click on Find Next. Found Dan. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't exactly what I'm looking for here. D round, but it found it. Okay, so this is where I can narrow this down and put whole instead of any part. Okay, so find next. See, it's finding student. The DEN is student, and then it's done. But if I change this to whole field, I'm going to get a different result. Okay, so find next. Found Dan. And that's it. And that's pretty much all I was looking for on that. I wasn't looking for just, you know, random characters that were put together. Okay, so it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a typo or an error somewhere, okay, that could really help by looking at all of, you know, parts of the field. But when you're looking for certain words, then whole word, whole field will work much better. Okay, so that is our asterisk. This time we're going to use the question mark. And what we're going to look for is J question mark. So what do you think we're going to find? Huh? Okay. So I'm going to try any part of the word first. Any part of the field. Find next. Oh, I found J-O. So J and a question mark. Question mark will fill in for it. Okay, it doesn't fill in everything. It fills in one character. Okay, so find next. J at J-A, J1. So you see what it's doing? Now, it's finding parts, okay? What if I'm looking for a whole field? Okay, so I'm going to find next. It didn't find anything. Why? Okay, because there are no whole words out there with just J and another character, okay? If we had J-O space, it would have found that, okay? So let's try start of the field and then find next. Okay, so it finds the start of each one of these. It doesn't pick it up in the middle somewhere, okay, but just the start, all right? Well, the next one that we're going to try is the brackets. That's match any single character within the brackets, okay? So I am looking for bracket. I've got to take out the old bracket. And this time I think that I'm going to, I'm going to put in a T, a bracket, an O-A. So I'm looking for ton or tan, all right? And then it ends with an N, okay? And current document, and I'm going to do any part of the field. So I'm going to start. So it found T-O-N in Ralston. Then it found T-O-N in Upton. And then when it's done, it just tells us okay. All right. However, if we wanted to find, in the next example, match any character not within brackets, the exclamation point. Okay, we can put an exclamation point in here, and instead of finding TON or TAN, I'm looking for everything but TOA or TAN. Okay, so I'm going to find next, and of course it didn't find anything because we don't have anything. Okay, now let me show you this though. Let's say that I'm going to take this out for just a minute because it'll help me a lot if I don't have that in. Okay, so let's say that I had a typo for Ralston, okay? And I wanted to put in an asterisk. Now, let's say that I had 200 TONs or TANs, and it's like, I don't want to have to go through all those. But I know somebody said I put an E in somewhere, so I've got to find this. So if we could look for an E specifically, all right? Or we're like, everything's supposed to be TO or TA. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to find this, and look, it found it. Now you're going, well, you were sitting right on it, so how could it not find it? I'm going to go to the very first record, okay, find next, and there it is. And then I can come in here and edit that and make my change. So it can be used for multiple different things, okay? All right, the next one that we're going to do is the dash. That matches any one of a range of characters. The range must be in ascending order, okay? And they show you an example of they're looking for anything that starts with the letter A that has D through P in the middle and T as the ending, okay? So it'd find aft, ant, and apt, but it wouldn't find act or art because the C and the R are not within the D-P, okay? So we're going to try one of those here with ours. Okay, we're going to try B bracket, and I can go all the way A to Z, right? And if I wanted to limit the characters, I could, right? But I'm just going to do A to Z for right now. And then I'm using B, everything that starts with a B, ends with a B, and it has anything in the middle. Okay, and notice I'm looking for either one of these. Okay, find next. Found Bob, but it didn't find anything else. Okay, so that can give you an idea of how that works. And then we have one more, okay, and that's match any single numeric character. And they show you an example here. If you're looking for anything that has 72 in it, but you're not sure of what the other character is, you can use a pound sign, okay? So if you put in pound 72, it found 072, 172, 272, etc. Okay? So it matches any single numeric character. So if we were going to look for pound rock, all right, I can find next. It found 2 rock. It found 12 rock, 16 rock. But see, it's only highlighting the number 4. And if you were looking for 2 digits, you would put in 2 numerical keys, or you would put in 2 numerical symbols. Okay, so I press enter. Now it's highlighting each one of those. Now, if I was only looking for rock lane, or looking for rock, okay, I can also just put in a space. And then it just finds those specific ones, okay? So you can kind of see how you can narrow your search down depending upon how you use your wildcard characters. They really help narrow things down. And again, you can use most of these within your search engines and also looking for your files on your hard drive or on OneDrive or whatever cloud you're on. And just FYI, I mean, they're very, very helpful. So we're going to click on cancel. Actually, they're wanting us to try a couple, so we'll try those. Control F, whatever we have highlighted and find what. You're going to highlight it and put in 307-824 asterisk. So that means we're looking for the phone number 307 that starts with 307-824 and then anything following that. So we're going to we want to match, okay, whole field because we don't want partials on this. All right, in our current document, if we happen to be in phone, it would, if we were in the phone field, we could look just in that field. Okay, so we're going to click on Find Next. And almost every one of these phone numbers are that way. So if you notice down below in our navigational area, okay, it's showing you what number this is in the form. When it's done, it just tells you it's finished searching the records, and you click on OK. All right, so we're going to click on Cancel. So you guys have tried working with the wildcard character. Hope that you enjoyed that. It comes in really handy. So next, we're going to maintain a table data using a form. Okay, and you're going, well, what is that? So basically, we're going to be able to edit and make changes and do what we need to do in our form. So a lot of times when you're editing data, it's a little bit easier if, like for example, if I have owner up, it's hard sometimes to edit in a particular table like this because all the data tends to run together sometimes and you're not sure what line you're on. So when you're actually in a form, it's a little bit easier to know exactly where you're at and if your data is accurate. Okay, so you can edit field values, delete a record, add a new record. So we're going to try some of these. So we're in owner. I'm going to close my owner table. So if you'll notice down in our navigational area down below, there's a search. Okay, so we have another type of search or find, and we're looking for Pincher, P-I-N-C-H-E-R. Okay, you notice it came up really, really fast. It found it. So with this particular one, this is record 3. It's Sandra Pincher, and we're going to highlight her address. And she's moved, and we're going to make a change. So she's moved to 53 Verde, V-E-R-D-E Lane, L-N. Okay. City is Powell, P-O-W-E-L-L. And it's still in Wyoming, so we can just tap through that. And in the zip field, it's 82440. And of course, her email and her phone didn't change, but the rest of it is fine. So we don't really need to save or anything because this is our database that we're working on. We're not changing the formatting of the actual form. So we don't have to save at this point because it's automatically saving for us. Now we're going to add a new record using the owner data form. So make sure you're on the Home tab and we go to the records group and we can click on new, and that gives you a new one. Now if you wanted to do this from the navigational area, that's where this new blank record comes in at the bottom. The one that I said was a triangle with a little sunshine or star. Okay, that does the exact same thing. Now, if you notice in figure 4-13, you have some data to enter. So let's do this together. We'll start off in owner ID. It's 2416. First name is Mia, M-E-I. And I know some of you are going, well, that's Mel. It's not Mia. Okay, but if you look at it really, really close, it's actually M-E-I. Okay, I've had several students that's missed it because they put in the wrong name. All right, Costas, 812. Playa, P-L-A-Y-A, H-W-Y. City is Elk Butte, B-U-T-T-E. And it automatically comes up with Wyoming because we've made that a default. Zip is 82433. Email is meow meow, M-E-O-W, M-E-O-W, at example.com. Phone is 307-824-5873. And then we can press the tab key. That kicks us to a new record, and it is taking that information in. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so make sure, well, do you know if it's saved or not? Right. Okay. It is definitely safe because it's with our data. Okay. And it's not with our formatting of this particular form. Okay. So we're good to go on that. The next thing we're talking about is previewing and printing selected form records. Okay. You can print as many forms on a page as the page allows. And if you run into where it takes half of it, it'll print half of it and print the other half on the next page. And then also you can print all your pages or a range of pages, or you can just print one particular record if you want to. Okay, so we're going to try a few of these. So we want to be on our first record. So go down to record and click first record, which is the vertical line within triangle. Okay, so student first and last. And by the way, I want you to fill your name in here. This is my name, but I want you to fill your name in. Okay. And we're going to do a file and print. And then we're going to do a print preview. Now this is what it's going to look like when it prints out. And you've probably heard me say this before, but we used to call this WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So what you see on the screen is what you're going to get when you print it out. And if you want to see if there's any additional pages, you've got your arrow down here at the bottom. That will allow you to look and see if there's any additional pages. Okay. And notice some of your options. If you wanted to go landscape, you could. It's not really any point because it's not taking up a lot of room. It's not a spreadsheet, so it's better for it to be portrait. If you wanted it in columns, you could change this to like 2 columns. Okay, but the problem is it really didn't work out. I mean, it doesn't work out for 2 columns the way it's set up. See, it chops it off. So I would recommend just leaving it as 1 column. Okay. And if you want to view, see how they lay out side by side, you can just choose 2 pages. If you want to see, more than that, okay, you can see how they lay out. So 4 pages, I want to go back to 1 page. All right. And then there's some information on data here. We're not going to be working with that right now. But you can also change your page size. So if you've got a printer that does 8.5 by 14 and you need to do it on that, you can change that. You can also change your margins if you want to. So those are kind of some of the things with the print feature within Access it gives you. Now, we're going to close our print preview. And if we were actually going to print this, we go File and Print, all right, and then go straight to print. All right, and then it would take us to this particular dialog box. So always make sure that you've got the correct printer. As I've mentioned here, when we were on campus, sometimes we had multiple different printers and they would have them set up incorrectly on a certain day, depending upon what student had used it prior. So that's why in a work environment too, you need to make sure that you're set up on the correct printer, especially if you're printing out confidential information. You don't want it to go to the wrong printer for somebody to accidentally pick up and read something that they're not supposed to read, which can get you in a lot of trouble. So you've got to really pay attention to those kind of things, okay? All right, and if we wanted to just print this particular record here, we could click on Selected Record. Whatever you're showing at the time, that is the record it's going to print, okay? So then we'd click on OK, but I'm not going to go ahead and print that right now. But I just wanted you to know how. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is create a form with a main form and a subform, which this is really, I think is really cool. So let's just see if you think it's cool. Okay. So I want you to close your owner, I want you to close your owner data. All right, and yes, we're going to save our changes on the formatting, okay? And so basically when we have a main form, which we've just looked at a main form, okay, we can actually put another little form inside of it, okay? And the person that we're supposedly working for on this particular project, she wants to create a form that has the owner's information, and at the bottom of the form, she wants it to have all of the animals that that person owns to be in as a second form. Now, the second form is called a subform, okay? And so let's try this. So I should say let's do this instead of try, but because I have faith in everybody that you're going to do great in creating this. So click on Create, Form Wizard, and we're going to be using the owner table, and click on Owner ID. So we're going to click once, and then we also want first name, last name, phone, and then we need to click down on email and then arrow over, because we've got to have that subform, and we do the subform on the same page. So we've got one selected. Now we're going to do a second. So we're going to arrow up until we find table animal. And then we're going to arrow over all of our items. But the one that we don't want is the animal owner ID, because that would be a duplicate version of owner ID that we've already selected. So we want to remove that. Okay. So once we've got that selected, we're going to click on Next. This is where we're creating this is what our current location looks like. Okay, we want to look at this by owner. Okay, that's our primary table. By animal is related table, or a subform. Okay, then we also have a couple other selections here that we could make. Option for displaying a form with a subform, okay, is the way we want it to appear. We do not want, in this particular exercise, to use a linked form, where we could actually, the second form could actually be a link and they could click on it and go to a form. We want it all on one screen and one page. Okay, now each one of the records will show what we're including. The first one is owner ID, first name, last name, phone, and email. Okay, that's the main form. And then our subform is animal ID, name, birth date, type, and breed. Okay. And that looks about right. So we're going to click on Next. Now we only have two options in here for the layout for our subform. Okay, tabular or data sheet. All right. And for those of you that don't remember what tabular or data sheet looks like, okay, let's go back a couple of screens. Here we go. This is what that particular, the different ones look like. So we're looking at these two down here. Data sheets is one option. Tabular is the other option. She wants us to choose data sheet. And we click on Next. All right, so what title do we want for this? This should actually say owner animals. So we add animals, and then it should say animal subform, and then click Finish. Okay, isn't that cool? Yep, you've got your title, then you've got your first form, and then you've got your inside of your form. If you're like, well, let's just check and see if the animals are there. So if you click on your next record, okay, Sally Cruz has got Tracker, a dog. That's a good name for a dog. Okay. And Sandra's got Lady the dog, and Billy's got Ellie the dog. Barbara Fishman has a dog named Russell. James doesn't have anything. Okay, and then Joey's got a cat named Bushy. All right, and we could go on and on and on and on with this. Okay, but the next thing is that if you notice some of our data is kind of chopped off to the right. Okay, so we need to actually expand that out. All right, and we also have to make a change up here under owner animals. So where do we go to change this? Right, we go to layout view. All right, and we're going up to owner animals, put a space in between owner animals. Okay, and then this section, okay, our subform, we need to widen that. If you notice when we click in that area, right, it gives us an orange box. We're going to click on the right side of that, the border, and make that a little bit wider. Okay, still not wide enough. I'm going to close my field list. I don't know how that came up, but make it a little bit wider like that. Now, I could have just double clicked that as well, right? And of course, that didn't do what I asked it to. But since that didn't work for me, I'm going to expand it manually. If you haven't had a chance, I want you to view the records, make sure that there's data in there, okay? And I know somebody's got cattle here. There we go. I was wondering where the cattle were. Somebody's got sheep too. And bison. Wow, we've got quite a menagerie. All right, so let's look at the last record. Okay, once you're done viewing, then we're going to save and close owner animals. After you finish this, if you are not going on to the next part of the module 4, then you can close access and you can come back to 4.2 at a later time.